amanya n'eddoboozi nze Ntongo Flon.
Christine Sandy.
Mwanje Steven Kabanana.
Serunya Anes Kaddu.
Eno program bagiyita Film Agenda 256.
Enganze ennyo.
Ssaawa 2 buli Lwakusatu.
Wano teri kuvaawo, beera wano.
Nange kwendi.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of Film Agenda 256. My name is Patrick Sentongo, and tonight I'm standing in for my brother Godfrey Musinguzi. Now, tonight is yet another edition, one of those that is going to be interesting because of a topic that we are going to be discussing that I'm very passionate about, but then also very sure that you people that are watching us are also very passionate about. Now, very many of the things that have been happening in the film industry have caused, a lot of controversy in the recent past. But then also that came along with the good news. And part of the good news was the launch of the Uganda Film Festival Awards for this particular year. Now, on this particular show, we want to believe that stories, Ugandan stories that are usually made sense of, are part of the art, which is usually talked of as, at its peak, is the highest form of human expression. So tonight, like earlier promised, we shall be digesting and making sense of the nomination night for these particular awards. And to join me for that particular discussion tonight is none other than Muzei Wanika. Now, before Muzei Wanika says hello to you, our viewers, one might ask, why are we choosing to discuss this particular topic 2 weeks later? Because this particular nomination night happened on the 14th of April. 2 weeks later, we get to discuss this particular topic. Muzei Wanika, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Kindly say your greetings to the people watching.
Yes, good evening, our dear viewers. My name, Muzei Wanika, and I'm the Executive Secretary for Parlood. Parlood is, of course, an umbrella organization of filmmakers, where we do have the Producers Guild, and I'm the Secretary General for the Film Producers Guild, Association of Car Film Producers Uganda Limited, and I'm also the National Coordinator for Pan-African Network for Artistic Freedom,
which is PANAF.
Yeah.
All right. When I discussed with my colleague Godfrey Musinguzi, the host of this particular show, and he was letting me know that he won't be in position to sit in for this particular show. But briefly, we had discussed about this particular topic. And when I got to know he's not going to be around, I started asking myself, who is the right person to invite so that we digest this particular topic? And I was like, I need to get Muzei Wanika. One, for very many reasons, but one, because of the profile that he's already given us, but also because he's one of the people that are into the leadership of the film industry, and for very many other matters, as we shall be discussing moving forward. Now, fast forward, the Uganda Film Festival is a series of very many events. It's not the festival, which is well known as the gala, the main day that most people think it is simply about the D-Day, which is the gala day. The festival usually has very many aspects to it. And for this particular night, the director of content and consumer affairs at Uganda Communications Commission, Miss Julianne Mwehere, opened the particular night with remarks, and she made sense and highlighted some of those key highlights. Noting that the festival includes very many things, and part of those is capacity building sessions, an industry marketplace, film screenings, the gala, which most people get to think that the festival is just about that particular day, but it's just a snippet of the entire festival. And for this particular year, she noted that there is something big that will be coming through, and that's where we all keep our fingers crossed to await what that particular surprise is. So it's she noted that it's a surprise industry development which will be launched on June 6th, which will be the D-Day for the gala of this Uganda Film Festival 2025. So before we get to kickstart it with her remarks, I will ask producer to give me Miss Julianne.
So colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, today marks the official start of the Uganda Film Festival celebrations. It can sort of be equated when we see lights across the city in December, when we all feel that the holidays and Christmas is around the corner. And so after today's announcement, let us all get into the Uganda Film Festival spirit. There's a lot in store to celebrate this 12th edition, including capacity building sessions, the industry marketplace that we are introducing, film screenings, obviously the gala event, and a surprise industry development that we will be launching and announcing on the 6th of June that you all don't want to miss. So,
All right. Mzee Ibwanika, you heard the director, Julian, very well. First, I want to ask you, were you part of that particular night?
And actually, by the day of I think the nomination night, I wasn't in the country.
Okay.
And I happened to have interested myself in the happenings after your invitation.
Okay.
That's why I really had to take the initiative to take it upon myself to ensure that at least I'm informed about something I'm going to talk about.
So you're among you're part of the viewers who are trying to play these recaps.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I'm among them, and yes, when you listen keenly to the director content, you realize she gave a very good remark. This is a very good speech, but a political speech, of course. And this is what happens when we say things. It's painful in a way. Patrick, we need to be fair to our listeners and the viewers. To make sure that such kind of things will bring an end to this kind of foolery. We have been in this sector for quite a long time, and I think this sector doesn't deserve the political statements. This sector deserves a permanent solution. We have problems that we are dealing with. If you come up and you say, yes, you have so much in package. Yes, of course, festivals are made up of capacity building, galas. That's what makes a festival. And then you tell us about a surprise at the...
Yes, she notes that it is a surprise industry development.
No, development is never a surprise. I've been in this sector for 20 years, Patrick. I did my first film in 2004. I started working closely with UCC, trying to ask them to do the right thing in around 2010, 2011. So all along, you can't prepare me for a surprise. I just pity my colleagues that were part of that session. But like I said, this is a good speech, but of course a political speech. I think our sector deserves more than this.
Mzee Ibwanika, these are 12 years.
Yes.
This is the 12th edition of this particular festival. You want to say that in this 12th edition, there is nothing to celebrate?
That's my point. She talked about, she compared the festival with Christmas, where everybody is anticipating something. And, surprisingly, you may even find that in UCC, there are certain officers that don't know about the nomination night. I can tell you this. In UCC, today as we speak, you may find that there are some officers that don't know about the Uganda Film Festival nomination night.
It cannot be.
No, I'm
the
telling you.
The festival is one of the biggest events that are organized by that institution.
Patrick, let's leave the excitement out. Personally, I'm a stakeholder. Talking about Uganda's film industry, but I'm a key stakeholder. I am telling you, I picked interest in knowing what exactly happened after you invited me to your show.
Yes.
And I can authoritatively tell you, I've been on several events of the Uganda Film Festival where even the people brought to man the gate do not know what is happening. Yes.
But the people who usually man the gate are security officers.
No,
how do you want them to know?
It speaks volumes. You go to the premiers out of the country, until we start moving across the world, we will be hoodwinked to think these guys are doing a lot of work. Let me tell you, before a security officer in other countries where we have patriotic citizens, before a security officer is brought to man anywhere, they are briefed. They are told of the purpose, what the values of the event is. You go to the festival. I one time remember I almost collided with the police officers that were trying to undermine our actors. What does that speak to you? They just get these guys, Omanyi, the junta way, bring them, put security here, showbiz, and it's all for nothing.
Muzei Bwanika, still about director content remarks.
Yes.
You've talked of the things that she highlighted as bare minimums or the basics that any festival should entail. You've talked of having attended some of these festivals in the past.
Yeah.
What do you think could have been added, or that is not the basic or the bare minimum?
No. When it comes to, we have a problem in Uganda. We are mistaking festival with the awards. In our sector, they're what they call awards. The problem with these officers of UCC, they reached the ceiling of learning. And as an individual, the moment you reach the helm of learning, actually that's when you die. Our lives start to end the moment we stop learning. There is a difference.
How do you justify that?
Because these are facts. A festival, when you look at the composition of the festival, they're actually doing a little bit fairer in the festival aspect of it.
Because they are the capacity building sessions and all these things.
Festivals are meant to orient young people, learners, into the actual sector. You get my point?
I get you.
So you have these students from Makerere University, these young boys who are starting to explore the film ecosystem, and you want to inspire them to do much more. So that's the essence of the festival. Festivals are not a bad thing. A festival is a good thing. But I would want us to appreciate what is going wrong here. So we are mistaken because, even when a nursery kid who is graduating top class is given a certificate, it is still called an award. Yes. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
So the fact that it is called an award, it doesn't mean it is equivalent to the Oscars award. It doesn't mean it's a degree equivalent to the degree. So probably calling the certificates and accolades of the festival awards doesn't quantify them to the level of the awards of our sector.
Muzei Bwanika,
Yes.
the Mwami Nyombi Tembo, the executive director of the Uganda Communications Commission, the institution that we are, the organizers of this particular festival, highlighted and noted that, the film industry was initiated by UCC over a decade ago. And he goes further to note that the vision at the time was to provide a platform for Uganda's stories to be told by Ugandans. 2, to nurture a sustainable and vibrant film industry. The last was to enable the industry to compete regionally and globally. So you want to say that this festival, 12 years into it, none of these visions, as he highlighted, has been reached upon, or is it not a great story so far? Before, I want us to be on the same page with our viewers. I will ask Mr. Producer, Mpamwami Nyombi.
When we initiated the Uganda film industry over a decade ago, our vision at the UCC was clear: to provide a platform that not only showcases Uganda's stories told by Ugandan voices, but also to nurture a sustainable, vibrant film industry that can compete regionally and globally.
Well, the executive director states it clearly. I would want to believe it wasn't a slip of the tongue, but he states that the film industry was initiated by the institution that he leads.
No, so many things go wrong. And you see, on the other side, a person of the stature of Mr. Nyombi,
the executive
director of UCC, saying that the Uganda film industry was initiated by UCC. I think it is either a slip of a tongue,
yes,
or a typo, because I don't think a person of Mr. Nyombi could actually believe this kind of a lie, that UCC initiated the film industry. Actually, even the film festival itself, UCC has no more authority to say it initiated the film festivals in Uganda.
They are the organizers.
No, before UFF, We did have Amakula Film Festival by Imba. We did have Pal International Film Festival by Magezi Moses. You remember?
Yes.
We used to have PIF. It used to be around the corner. Actually, it is one of the filmmakers, this Gerard Serumjoji, Yoga Film Producers Association, that gentleman. It is the Gerards and Ruasa back in the days that went to UCC trying to pitch how UCC can help festivals, and that's how UCC jumps onto that thing. You know, back in the days, Mr. Mutabazi was a very radical person.
I want to get you very right.
Yes.
The concept of Uganda Film Festival, I want you to look direct into the camera.
Yes.
From the very word go is not a concept fully owned by the UCC.
Uganda Film Festival is a concept that was birthed by Ugandan filmmakers. UCC, the same way it always does, it steals ideas, by the way. I'll tell you an example.
I won't allow you to sit on this panel.
No,
I won't allow you to sit on a panel.
No, wait,
I choose an institution that is mandated.
Listen, I'm getting you now crude information.
UCC has the mandate.
We as Palu,
to regulate this
we
industry.
as Palu once at one time wrote to UCC trying to express that, you know what, we can actually have a hub. 2 years down the road, because we wanted them to give us some support. 2 years down the road, they started a production hub at probably Mobs. You know, somebody tells you, right, and bring me an idea, and then they take it on themselves.
By making or putting the production hub at Mobs, they're still supporting the sector,
which is okay. I'm trying to give you some information. You know, the purpose here, Patrick. We want to be fair to our listeners.
Yes.
This is a government institution.
True.
And I can authoritatively tell you, the likes of Gerard Ruasa, you don't know what he's doing now, but he was back in the days.
Did he get frustrated out of this?
I don't know where he is. Okay. But these are the guys that actually fronted the Uganda Film Festival.
So UCC stole the idea?
Whichever, that's what they do. So whatever Mr. Nyombi says, you know, a person of the executive director, you have to make sure your team gives you credible information, because sometimes your words become the law. So when the executive director comes out and says, you know, we initiated the Uganda film industry, let us put the record straight. UCC has never initiated the Uganda film industry. For starters,
it did with the festival.
No. It has never initiated the Uganda film industry. Actually, the Uganda film industry, what we call the indigenous film industry, can be traced back at least 10 years before UCC started the festival.
Okay.
Yes.
But the executive director goes on and highlights the vision when they were kickstarting
which
all
vision?
This. And he has stated in his
Patrick,
communication,
this
three
visualize.
Do you want to say that they have not been achieved?
No.
Are we not moving in the right state direction?
Patrick, we are trying to dissect his statements.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, his statements that I've had, that have been re-echoed, is the wrong statement. UCC has never initiated Uganda film industry.
Okay.
And two, even the film festival itself is a baby by the filmmakers themselves.
Okay.
Because
I want us to move away from that, and we go to the visions as he stated them. He states that one of the visions was to provide a platform for Uganda's stories to be told.
No, they have
they been told?
They are killing the sector. No, look, Patrick, UCC is not helping the sector. It is UCC's legal obligation to make sure whatever the broadcast is complies with, is in conformity with the laws, and in particular the copyright law. Go and switch on any TV station today as you speak. They are showing pirated content, smuggled films. What is the effect of this? Pearl Magic is closing down. DSTV is closing down. Do you know why? Pearl Magic, when Pearl Magic came, when DSTV introduced Pearl Magic, they used to pay filmmakers here in Uganda. DSTV has been commissioning filmmakers to do content. Why is it closing down? Why is it scaling down? Because there is no business.
Muzei Bwanika, you're the mastermind behind the boycott UFF campaign.
And that is the point.
That is ongoing. When you say that UCC, I usually see, and even today, because your campaign is ongoing under that hashtag, you keep claiming that UCC has refused to put a ban.
Yes, on
These
illegal smuggled films. Because this, the moment you bring a smuggled product into the market, the genuine products lose value. That explains why Pearl Magic used to pay filmmakers, the Mlindwas, $1,000, which is approximately 3.7 million. And that money was actually being taxed. The film producer would, at the end of the day, get around 3.3 million. Over 500,000 goes into taxation. Now, wait a little bit, Patrick. Now, when Pearl Magic was paying 3.7 million to the film producers, Bukede TV, KBS TV would go on the street and get this smuggled content, put on their airwaves, and show content because UCC is asking.
Muzaiwanika, amidst all that,
yes,
your campaign of boycotting UFF, is it a step in the right direction for you as a filmmaker? Because the festival, as per what the executive director notes, it is helping some filmmakers. So for you to come out and say that it should be banned or it should be, filmmakers should boycott it, because, the executive director goes on and he actually acknowledges some of these challenges that you're highlighting, and he notes that infringement, copyright infringement, or even piracy,
okay, Patrick,
that you're talking about.
In the same presentation, in the same video, UCC video, how many films were submitted? Feature films by Ugandans?
A couple of them.
300 something.
Yes.
I think 301. If 301 films were submitted by Ugandans, and only 16 films were nominated, they are competing for the few awards. Now, 300 were submitted. 16 were nominated. From the 16, you may find that, okay, if they are lucky, 10 films win. So you try and weigh. You are throwing down 290 films in favor of the 10 films. Are you serving? So each and every year, UCC is killing more filmmakers than those it pretends to help.
The executive director notes that he understands and acknowledges some of the challenges you're raising, and he actually goes on to offer some solutions. Mr. Producer, if you could give me executive director Mr. Nyombi, so that you hear him acknowledging that and also offering some of the solutions to these problems.
As UCC, we have noted the challenges and concerns that have been shared by different stakeholders. The challenges include rampant piracy and copyright infringement, absence of relevant policies, the lack of access to funding for production, the lack of market or limited avenues for commercialization and monetization. UCC will soon be launching initiatives and projects that are aimed at addressing the challenges. My team will soon roll out initiatives around these 5 areas, or what you call pillars. 1, establishing a formal, structured market space. 2, audience development and exhibition of films. And here, we want using existing infrastructure like Vibanda and cinema all over the country. Of course, when we talk of Vibanda, some people might think that we are thinking local. But the film industry have to sometimes start thinking local. Our industry, if it is to grow, it has to read into what our society is.
Now,
well, to get you there,
Patrick,
you were asking where the other films
Patrick,
will go, and he says that they are establishing a formal market.
Listen, the ED, Executive Director of UCC, tells us that they acknowledge the challenges of piracy and copyright infringement. Do you know, this is the impunity, the ignorance of the highest order that I've ever witnessed. I will give you a simple scenario. The moment you see somebody stealing a chicken, what is the response to that kind of criminality?
Kumukwata.
Kumukwata, because it is criminal. when it comes to intellectual property and somebody is stealing some other person's work, and you even have the audacity of standing before filmmakers and tell them, we acknowledge there is criminality taking place, and then wait, Patrick,
this is a government institution that works with policies.
A stupid government institution working with policies that it doesn't understand. Patrick, what we are talking about is people's works being infringed on. That is the point.
The institution you're talking about is mandated to do this work.
What
do you want to teach it how they do their work?
No.
Okay. If the executive director clearly notes that they acknowledge it is a step in the right direction,
so what?
They already handle
it. So what?
They already
handling what? People are losing their property. You're handling what? Do you know a building is burning and you're calling fire brigade? Fire brigade is not responding, and you say people are busy. No, let us wake up.
Government works with policies. Things cannot go as you
policies.
They are time.
So the entire village has to be crushed for UCC to understand there is a problem somewhere.
I understand filmmakers have met the team at UCC over the same issues. Have you attended any of those?
It has been a hoodwink. Personally, I have not attended, but I have engaged UCC personally at a personal level several times over the years. I think it's now over 7 years engaging UCC. I've written to UCC. We have written to UCC.
What has their feedback been like?
They are just hoodwinking the filmmakers. There is criminality. The ED himself is telling you. They acknowledge there is piracy, there is infringement of copyright. What are you doing as the executive director? And two, now the ED is telling us, okay, his team is about to come up with measures. Patrick, do you really expect reasonable Ugandans to take this man seriously?
Mwami Nyombi leads an institution.
It is a disgrace.
That works with the policies.
No, it is a disgrace.
There are steps to these things.
Patrick, I don't know about Joshua and Musingu's its future. It is a disgrace that Mr. Museveni has chosen to get empty-headed people.
I won't allow you to bring the person of the president into matters film.
No, but you see, it is the president's making now.
I want us
younger people are suffering.
To UCC.
Younger people, no, look. If Eddie Kenzo is the presidential advisor on the matters of creative sector, then he also has a problem if he doesn't see this. Culture, the creative sector is dying. UCC is failing on its primary legal obligation of stopping illegal film broadcasts.
Muzeibwanika, if you were put into the shoes of Mr. Nyombi,
I would do the right thing. I wouldn't be so greedy to eat small monies from broadcasters, buy sympathy, look for sympathy. I would do the right thing.
You would do the right thing?
Yes.
I've seen a couple of members from Palwood, where you're Secretary General, and part of their films were also nominated.
Yes.
And I am wondering, is it that your members, some of your members didn't adhere to your call to boycott UFF because they went on to submit?
No, for starters, boycott is not for everyone. It's for the bold.
So you acknowledge part of your members.
No. You're not listening. It is for the bold. 2, boycott is not for lack of a better word, is not for the weak minds. It is for the strong. So let me tell you, let me help you, Patrick, and the listeners and the viewers, our viewers today. When we try to talk to Mr. Nyombi and his gang about our core values as a sector, and trying to tell them that, you know what, you need to put things right, they refused. So we said, we are boycotting the Uganda Film Festival until you stop the illegal film broadcasts. Do you know what they said? They said that the people that are talking about the Uganda Film Festival do not have the moral authority to make any comment about the film festival, because they do not do quality films. This was their comment. They do not do quality films, and their films can't even be accepted in the festival. That was their response. Do you know our next approach? We sent in films because we wanted to prove a case. So the members you're talking about, you are choosing them for no good reason. We actually wanted to prove a case. And how did we prove a case? We submitted content, and trust me, at the end of the day, we got 10 nominations. And of the 10 nominations, the filmmakers that were identified as nominees came up and did a press conference where they declared that they stand for the values of the boycott because we want zero tolerance with illegal film broadcasts. And they have written, the president of Parliament has written to Mr. Nyombi, attaching the press release of the nominees, requesting Mr. Nyombi to stop the criminality being done by the broadcasters. Mr. Nyombi has adamantly refused to take action.
Mzee Bwanika, Mr. Nyombi, the man you're overly talking about, who is at the helm of UCC, has a background in this industry. He's been an artist before. Do you want to say, over the years, artists have been claiming you're giving us people who are not technical in our area?
Has everybody that studied law is everybody who studied law practicing law?
Mr. Nyombi was a practicing artist.
You a journalist, you studied journalism. Are all your hobbies and hobbies doing journalism?
No. But the ones that are
probably
doing...
you also passed through our sector.
No, yes. No. Mzee Bwanika, my point I'm trying to make is, Mr. Nyombi, in a layman's understanding, I would want to think that is one of the few people who are the right people for the job. He's been an artist and is handling a docket where we think is very technical. Mr. Producer, I'll ask that you give me Mr. Nyombi, because he highlights and gives a glimpse into the background, that actually speaks to that.
We will not get the cinemas of the 70s. When I grew up, we could go to Odeon, we go to Norman, Delight, Cinema. And by the way, there were those 5, or only 5. Like I was telling my performers, National Theatre, National Theatre, you'd hit a headline. Someone filled up National Theatre. How many seats? 377? I'm told around 377. Until when some of us had to break the rules, we said, no. Growing the performance doesn't have to be in a 377 small place, because we are all constrained by that. Probably.
The man gives a glimpse. He takes us back in the days. He talks of the Norman cinema. He has been actively involved into this industry and is trying to speak to you around, he's speaking from a very informed point of view.
I was on TikTok and I saw a video that nearly killed me. There was this guy who made this. There is one of the big musicians. He made some comments.
Ugandan artist?
Yes, Ugandan artist. He made a comment about his friend. He was advising to come back in Uganda, buy a pickup and get a tank of water. And some guy went on TikTok and said, "This gentleman is very wise when he's quiet."
Mzee Bwanika, I beg that we stick to the topic.
It is the same topic. Actually, Mr. Nyombi would appear very wise if he remains silent. Let me tell you something. He's talking about
practicing
artist. He's talking about the 300-seater National Theatre.
Yes.
And he's exhibiting Ugandan films in cinemas. Where he's exhibiting the Ugandan films, there is no cinema that has the seating capacity of National Theatre.
But he notes that...
No. Listen, keenly. There is no film where he's exhibiting the films. There is no cinema of those he's talking about that has a seater capacity that reaches the capacity of National Theatre. For starters, that is one. And I don't disagree that Honorable Nyombi was never an actor. But you see, we also have people that will admire what we are doing and they will want to come and also experience the feel of being on screen. And after that experience, they go. It doesn't make them part of us.
Mzee Bwanika, when you talk about the market issue, the executive director notes that the team he leads at UCC is integrating the use of digital market platforms to solve some of the problems you're talking about. And part of what they are doing is actually interesting international content buyers jump onto that. And they are working towards a content development facility.
That kind of thinking is inspired by ignorance. Let me tell you something.
UCC is going to run
That kind of thinking,
it.
Patrick, is inspired by ignorance. There is nowhere in the world you're going to find a market you do not have to negotiate to get. Whatever market you want to have, that market will primarily, first and foremost, want to have an interest in your market.
I kindly ask that we first watch Mr. Nyombi making sense of this digital market, kind of setting and content development facility.
Does he even understand what it is?
He does. He's gonna speak about it, Mr. Producer.
So integration of digital market platforms, attracting international distributors and buyers of content, establishing and facilitating new partnerships and networking opportunities. And we are also seriously thinking of how we can develop a content development facility. A content development facility. My friend Matayo told us that as guild, and start thinking together and see how do we start thinking of a content development facility. And for us, at least to me, the issue is not to have one, but the issue is to how do you have it and you run it sustainably. Does it have to be a PPP, have neighboring rights and others, then UCC, maybe government? How do we run it? So integration of digital market.
You got that right, Mzee Wanika. Has your question been answered?
Patrick, whatever Mr. Nyombi is talking about, trying to reach out to markets and networks, DSTV is living. You heard my point? Before even you talk about the other markets you're trying to lobby, DSTV is leaving Uganda. DSTV is no longer buying local content. DSTV is scaling down on the commissioning. So before you even think of interesting other partners to come on board, the one you have is leaving. First and foremost, establish what are the challenges of DSTV. First and foremost, before you think about the content development facility. Ask yourself, what inspires people to produce? During the times in Katale, would you see people nga balime mwanyi? The moment the coffee gets market, people will actually start venturing into coffee. When vanilla reached its peak, people went into vanilla plantations. When vanilla lost value, people lost interest. So no one take our content development facilities, and that there is no market. Trust me, people are not going to use these markets. The person is talking about Matthew. Matthew has his personal equipment. Some of the things we can do without government. In Nepal, we didn't need government to get equipment that members can use. We are now lobbying for our other chapters outside Kampala so that they can also have production hubs. These are things that ordinary citizens can do.
Mzee Wanika, your case paints a picture of a total disconnect between UCC
and the reality.
And the reality,
yes.
All the filmmakers.
Exactly.
But UCC, as an institution, is saying that in order to solve that particular problem...
A problem of what? Content creation?
Some of the...
No, they received 301 films from Ugandans. Patrick, let us take this slow. They received 300 films from the Ugandan filmmakers. Of the 300 films, around 16 films have been nominated. Not all the 16 films are going to end up as winners. The truth is, even before you find the market for the 290 films, you're still thinking of dumping, creating more to go where?
It is UCC that, suggested the creation of guilds within the film industry. And in 2018,
yes,
Director Julien highlights that they asked and recommended the creation of guilds for the smooth kind of collaboration between new filmmakers and the UCC. And she further notes that that representation was not formalized, but UCC is currently working at solving that problem so that they are formalized, so that they start to engage you filmmakers in trainings and much more within your respective guilds?
So a person that has never done a film wants to teach us how to make a film.
No, Julian is a director. Is director content.
You see, Patrick, there is a big disconnect.
You want to say she's not technical in that lane?
Actually, like I told you earlier on, there is a problem. Our people stopped learning, and our lives start to end the moment we seize the opportunity of learning.
Wanik, I ask we first watch Mr. Nyombi and director Julian speak in this regard.
So now that you are organizing yourselves and you have the Producers Guild, and I'm sure so many other guilds will be coming up, we will be more than happy to receive the Actors Guild, to get the Writers Guild. So when we get all these guilds and we think together, I think we can go very, very far.
UFC was built of associations. The associations were made up of people of various, for us as UCC, when we're looking at ways to support them. And I remember in 2018, one of the recommendations we made to the industry, and one of the things that the UCC sees that the industry has driven itself to, is the creation of the guilds. All kinds of guilds, the Producers Guild, the Directors Guild, the Actors Guild. Now, one of the challenges that the Commission has seen is that, yes, these guilds have been formed, but the representation is still not formalized. No, so what we are doing as UCC, and I think we mentioned this to a committee we met recently, and we're going to have follow-up conversation, is that the UCC is building a platform in collaborations with yourselves to be able to formalize the guild representation. What shall we do in these guilds? And this is what the ED was talking about. When we're making some sort of contribution, when we're scheduling trainings, when we're giving support, when we're buying infrastructure, we will engage with those guilds responsible for that line of trade. And the Producers Guild, because you know what the producers do, we feel that they are from the top coming down. We want to invest as part of CDSP very heavily in infrastructure, in creation of the entire sector, and going forward. And I think we made this clear with the regional film competition judges, directors and producers and cinematographers were being trained in the same space. It became so complicated, and one of the decisions we made as UCC with the judges is that going forward, we are going to have separate trainings in the region and also within UFF. But that can only be achieved through guilds. So please work with that. And I think, as Nana has said, the associations can continue, because associations are built of very different principles. You can have your actors, your producers in associations, but guilds is where support is going to be rendered forward. I hope that's clear.
It's coming. What I was trying to tell you, Patrick, you see, we need to be very, very careful when it comes to our words. Because at the end of the day, they are going to judge us based on what we've said. Guilds have been around.
Okay.
And I think the only difference is this time around, Mr. Nyombi is only learning the word guild. But the problem is, because it is a new word in their vocabulary, and Julian, they think it is a new thing. Guilds have been around. And let me tell you, they need to understand that it is like calling your institution. I may choose to call it an organization. I may choose to call it an institution. I may choose to call it an association. You get my point?
Same things meaning the
same things.
Different things meaning the same thing.
Different things meaning the same thing. So we need to go back. The UFC, Uganda Film Council they are talking about, was formed as a result of guilds. It had its own challenges. And you know, guilds have been around. Association of Core Film Producers, where I come from, it is a producers guild. So it's about, guild is a functionality. It is a function. It's like telling you're a man. It means there are certain parts of your body, features that define you as a man. But somebody else will call you male. And the same features will still apply. So we need to walk that path.
Muzeibwanika, you want to use a fire extinguisher and cut off part of the fire that is right here in studio, and then also go to our YouTube channel, Living Arts YouTube channel, where this conversation is going on live, because the fire there is also...
Akatalekika. When you hear the executive director talking about a new guild, and with the experience we have with the NLM government, there is something they want to steal.
I want us to stick to UFF.
No, yes,
UCC.
No, they talked about it. They are talking about us starting to organize ourselves. The annual, in Pearlwood, our annual budget has reached 800 million. Let me tell you, you don't wake up and start playing on us like that.
But by all means, you have to work with UCC.
We have to do what?
You have to work with UCC because it is mandated.
To do what? To regulate broadcasters. Has it done its role? No.
Zewanika, I will first go to the comment section for the people that are watching us live. One, we want to also apologize for a small technical glitch that just happened a few minutes back. But I want to read part of the comments of the people that are, watching us live, and to also hear their views. Drizzle King, the voice mutant, notes that yes, some people are very wise when they are silent, and some understand very fast after a long explanation. Yeah. And Shami Wings 256 says that to these small filmmakers who were promised to get a marketplace, remember Mzee Ibwanika's words and stop pretending. I have Irene Namata, who noted that today she was an Alebad Yakedeku program. Thank you so much, Namata. Shami Wings sending regards. Let me see. Very many comments coming in here. And Semanda Deo notes that he was by then active. How come he's quiet about our cry now? Is it because the system is rigged? I think this goes to
who was what?
Semanda Deo.
No. He asked what?
He was by then active. I think he was by then active. How comes he's quiet about our cry now? Is it because the system is rigged? We just need to look back at...
I don't know, maybe Samanda, you need to clarify.
Guys watching us live, thank you so much. Keep the comments and the discussion feedback coming in. We shall be sharing part of that. Now, Mzee Ibwanika, a lot is said, and from the team, part of the filmmakers who are taking part in the UFF 2025, some of them, like I said earlier, are part of Pearlwood. And the executive director noted and I will request that producer you prepare to give me, his exact words. But he noted that for the very many people who submitted their films, that alone shows the trust they have in the process of UCC around this festival and these particular awards. He recognizes that the negative forces, which I want to believe with the fire that has been in studio, part of what you've been talking about here, is what he referred to, that the negative forces, some of those that were behind boycotting this festival, are simply allergic to good things. He terms this UFF project or product as something that is very nice, and you people are simply allergic to good things. And he further notes that even the filmmakers, your fellows, simply shunned you, and they went on to take part in these awards. Mr. Producer, just give me the words of Mr. Nyombi Tembo from the nomination night in that regard.
Obviously, all of us who submitted, thank you very much, really, for submitting, because that means that you trust the process, you trust the system. And this was that with the background of some negativity, which has started there was some negativity that had started cropping up. You know, Ugandans are allergic to good things. Whenever there is something good taking place, there are very creative Ugandans who are always will come up to make sure that they make it look bad. So we are getting this also in this. But the good thing is that it looks like they haven't been welcome. They have been shunned.
So thank you very much, Edie. Yes, definitely when something is growing, when something is about to get even bigger, there are forces that pull.
Obviously.
That is our friend Kasule Douglas, who I think Kasule was the host, and the further notes,
yes,
and also adds on to the word of the executive director.
First and foremost, let us exonerate Douglas Bender. Why?
He was the host of the night.
No, you see, some of us can't be bought off, but we also have to appreciate some people think when they are angry, they need bread. So that's when they actually have to think. So for starters, let us exonerate Douglas. He was looking at his paycheck. But let us go to the words of the big man.
Before you go to his words,
yes,
let me just pose this question.
Yes.
Was your boycott, the one that you're spearheading, was it shunned?
No, actually, he's not talking about filmmakers shunning us. The status of Mr. Nyombi, because now I feel ashamed calling him the executive director. He's a disgraced.
Let us be clear.
Executive director.
Mr. Nyombi is the executive director.
Yes, but it is a shame to call him that title. When you look at other executive directors, when you are a leader, you lose the rights of doing wrong. You lose rights of making reckless statements like that. If, for heaven's sake, we are supposed to be supported by UCC, and adamantly Mr. Nyombi stands there and says, some of those negative energies were shunned. That is the impunity of the highest order we are talking about. He has no moral authority to even pronounce those words. It shows somebody who is shameless, somebody who doesn't even reason before they speak. He really had to understand.
You want to be there and attack an institution that is organizing a festival, and this institution is led by Mr. Nyombi. You want him to sit back and relax?
No, I am not attacking the organization, actually. I am attacking the stupid characters of these officers. It's like if somebody, we always fight.
Is Mr. Nyombi wrong to come and defend his people?
Let me tell you what leaders do. We always fight in Parliament. But you don't focus on how much you've been abused. You focus on the substance within the content that has been brought.
And if
Mr. Nyombi was a reasonable person, if Mr. Nyombi wasn't drunk of greed, he would have acknowledged that probably there are people that are making some noise. What are they saying? What is the premise of their claim? If he failed on those basics, then he has nobody.
Me and you and the viewers watching us can testify to the fact that in part of the videos we watched previously,
yes,
he acknowledged some of the issues, like the case of pirates.
But now he comes here, he comes again, and you just played the audio.
Yes.
When Mr. Nyombi is saying, good enough, this group was shunned. It is being stupid and reckless with words. An elder, a person with gray hair, we expect you to reason equivocal to your status, the way you look.
Muzei Bwanika.
Kale Mr. Nyombi,
I ask us to be very formal.
No,
I want us to be very formal with our language that we are using.
How do you want me to define Mr. Nyombi? That kind of stupidity.
Mr. Nyombi is the executive director
I
of
don't
UCC,
care.
and the institution he leads is mandated to regulate your works.
An executive director who is stupid and fails on his obligation does not deserve to be called an executive director.
I won't allow you
if he's the president, he needs to change this.
Muzei Bwanika.
No!
To get this show to order, I won't allow you to sit on my set and utter all these words.
Okay.
An executive director.
Okay, Patrick, give me another term that means stupid. Okay, give me another term that means stupid. Because Mr. Nyombi is stupid. He's a stupid executive director. So if you give me another term that means stupid, I will use that term. I'm trying to be polite.
I want us to get this show to order, Muzei Bwanika. And I will choose to close this particular one. And we get to hear on the particular same night, we had is a film lecturer from Makerere University, Mr. Philip Luswata.
Yeah, okay.
Now, Mr. Philip Luswata is part of the team that was behind the selection, and he noted in his presentation that I want Mr. Producer to just put for us so that we watch it before we get to dive into it. For those that are watching us, I kindly ask that you keep the conversation going on online via our YouTube channel.
We are given an elephant for each of the blind men to describe the elephant. And the one who had the ear had a very good description of the ear. The one who had the foot had a very good description of the foot, the head, and so on. And as the seeing people, from what each of the blind men described, were able to understand and appreciate the elephant from a totally new perspective. So that's what exactly UCC did for us this year with the Uganda Film Festival jury. It included some gentlemen and ladies from a very wide variety of experiences, each looking at the process from a different perspective. We had Mr. Mauko Kwadzi from West Africa, and Mauko is a casting agent. So he brought that casting eye to the process. We had Segilola Abuaba, who is a Nigerian filmmaker, and she brought that perspective of production, producer perspective. And then we had Simon Darling, not Darling. It doesn't have the R, so we don't have a relationship. So Simon is a content buyer, which was also quite interesting for us when we sat at the round table to agree on what goes through. Of course, we had Irene Kulabako, a producer, writer, and in our business, jack of all trades. She's a true Ugandan artist. You do everything. And lastly, myself, who brought also the academic perspective and everything else I am known for to the whole process. And I think the elephant we were defining was a very interesting elephant, because this time, for the first time, people took that giant step of producing their own work. We didn't have any commissioned project this year. That's powerful. That's powerful. There was no commissioned project. So you can imagine that people are seeing the business is there. And also very interesting, there has been a shift. For those of us who understand what downtown and uptown means, this year we had downtown people making films in English and uptown people making films in Luganda, which was really intriguing. I found that really intriguing. But it is something to note. It is, there is movement of troops. People are positioning themselves for something that I'm wondering, what's going to happen? Something is coming. We better be careful.
I want to thank Philip for first allowing us to calm. His presentation took a few, 1 or 2 minutes that allowed us calm. But my key takeaways from his presentation, he highlighted the shift in the local and urban teams that, interchangeably, we saw them doing the opposite of themselves, which was quite nice. And also, saw to it that, you know, people were tapping into new audiences. But where I want to put my focus on is the issue of, you know, none of the commissioned films was readily
you know, this
apparent
is,
or visible.
This is a blow.
I want to hear your take.
The
on
problem with lies, you can manage to fool everyone, but not for a lifetime. Are you aware that UCC has what they call a content development program? They dash out money, 100 million to filmmakers to actually make film. And none of the commissioned films, because of late they gave out money to filmmakers.
Yes.
To do film. And now Mr. Luswata comes and ashames them, and they even clap that this time around there is no film that was actually commissioned. You see, that is the problem we are having. You are giving out money to filmmakers to make good films, and now you organize a festival, and those you gave money have nothing to present. Either
conflict of interest.
No, listen. Last year was it? Why wasn't it conflict of interest last year? Why wasn't it last year?
But also last
Let
year,
me tell you something.
there are people who are saying,
Patrick, the problem with you journalists, you fear government to censor you, you fear to renew your whatever
licenses.
Last year you get it wrong.
No. I asked you first listen to me.
Power.
Last year, when some of the commission films
to make to make sense of this entire thing.
Yes.
And I am telling you,
I'm going to give you the time.
Mr. Luswata says there is no commissioned project. Yet the same UCC gave out money to filmmakers to make film. You get my point?
Yes.
It implies the filmmakers that were not given money are more creative than the filmmakers that are being given money. The filmmakers that were not given money are more determined. They are passionate about this sector, about their craft, more than these hooligans that are applying for money, that are depending on handouts. Let me tell you, this system must stop. We filmmakers, Patrick, listen. We filmmakers.
Last year we had some of the commissioned films nominated,
and did they win even?
Let's say
because we are giving out money. And two, Mr. Luswata comes. You know, Mr. Luswata is a respectable man. He's a lecturer, film lecturer, of course. And I like him. You know, he's one of the.
He has also worked on some projects.
He's one of the people that stood up and fought for National Theatre. Those times when they were selling National Theatre, he went alone. He was arrested, and many artists were at their homes sleeping, not even posting a free hour Luswata.
So, would he be a possible candidate for your campaign?
I respect Mr. Luswata, but you know, we will never convince anybody that we actually tried anything if we do not succeed at the end of the road. So Mr. Luswata, his efforts to support this sector will end in vain if he gives up along the way, if he gives up the quest of trying to see that our sector makes it to the greater heights. Mr. Luswata was one time a very remarkable artist, highly celebrated. You remember the Muktano?
You want to say
Nairobi? No. You remember the Muktano? Answer the question. Muktano Junction. Mr. Luswata was at the peak, at the helm. Mr. Luswata would organize concerts, shows at the National Theatre, and it would be filled up because he held this. And I think along the way, he got disgruntled. He got fed up. And now, he can't even speak truth to power. I am sorry. I have high regards for Mr. Luswata, but he no longer has the audacity. I don't know if today he's paying for more school, he's paying more school fees for his children than back in the days.
No.
That is looking.
No. Mzaiwani,
I am
not
being
personal.
I'm trying to make because Mr. Luswata I know of back in the days would have used that UFF UCC platform to tell UCC that we need a film market. But now he's praising them.
When you accuse UCC for having commissioned people to do certain films, and none of them has been commissioned,
and they failed. They gave them money. You know, use the right terms. They gave people money to do films. The people that were given money either ate the films with the officers in UCC, or the films were crap that they couldn't qualify. Actually, of the 300 films, you may find. But some of the 300 films were some of the commissioned.
Mzaiwanika, the host of that particular night, the nomination night for this year's UFF Awards, Kasule, he noted in his submission around that same time, after the submission by Mr. Philip Luswata. Now, Kasule noted that filmmakers delay premiering their films because they be waiting for this particular festival, the UFF. And for him, he notes that himself, and he notes a couple of journalists, that it would be nice if these films are put out early enough so that they can look at them, even if it means, making reviews to them. And how about if some of the commissioned films are part of those that were delayed to be fully put out? Before you come in, I want us to listen to Kasule.
Many times, people have films made and they keep them and wait for UFF. They don't premiere, right? So they wait for UFF. So it is hard for us to make predictions. Me and Kagwa, who are always tasked to place our predictions, becomes very complicated. Because usually find that by the time the nominations are out, you have one film premiere. For example, right now I know Janan. Which one else has premiered? Nkinzi, yes. Nkinzi, Nkinzi. Which one else? Chimote is coming, but we can't predict it now. Maybe based on the artwork and the trailer. What else? Slumber is also coming. So it's hard, right? So I cannot ask you as people in attendance to predict, which is supposed to be something that creates the attention. Because even when you have the nomination actually out, people are going to talk a lot because they don't know these films. So I think maybe coming later in the festivals, maybe it should be a requirement. Many times.
You heard Mr. Kasule, the host of the night.
Yes.
Anything you want to add? Are you in agreement?
First and foremost, there were claims that the commissioned films are not allowed to participate under UFF. But
because of the conflict of interest, I want to believe.
Okay, I am coming to that, my brother. But if I am an organizer who gives out money and I am mindful of where this content goes, do you know what I would do? In the first place, I would first and foremost put a category
for the commissioned,
so that I eliminate the conflict of interest. You know, it's like you're telling me if UCC commissions a project, that project ceases to be a Ugandan project. That is foolery, for starters. So what UCC would have done, they would ideally put a category of commissioned projects. And now the commissioned projects would compete as commissioned projects. And that's why I'm telling you, we have a problem of copy and paste. We are mixing the film festival with film awards. That we don't understand things. And the problem is our officers in UCC have closed their minds to learning. The moment they open their minds, all these ideas, you can't do the right thing for the sector. Douglas Bender, I think when he made this submission, the truth was boiling within him. The truth that people make films and only wait for the UFF. Now, a person who is closed-minded, they don't realize that filmmakers don't have anywhere to take their films other than the UFF. I'll take you back to the 300 plus films that were submitted. And we are only looking at the 16 films that were nominated. It means if you're a responsible officer within UCC, you would ask yourself, where are the 290 films going to be sold? What is the opportunity that awaits for the 290 films? Ideally, what we are telling UCC, that having a film market would ideally be a good platform for all the filmmakers to triumph. And from in there, you would now come and start appreciating those that are performing better than the other. When you fail on that, we are not getting something wrong. Now, Kasule being a stakeholder, a key stakeholder in the sector, the truth, irrespective of his paycheck, the truth was fighting within himself. And finally, he mentioned it. The sad bit is the platform. He was addressing an audience that is closed-minded.
Muzaiwanika, one of the key highlights from this year's nominations, and I want to pick your mind at it even before we dive fully into it, there were a couple of very many young or upcoming or new entrants into the film industry that, it's them that dominated. And it's where I want to believe you're part of the Producers Guild. Do I have that right?
Which Producers Guild? There is a new
the one led by Nana Kaga, because she's the one I want to quote. Now, Nana Kaga applauded the new generation or the young, filmmakers having dominated a couple of categories in there, and also, wondered why some veteran, filmmakers, some of them didn't make it through. Of course, she named a few of those that still were very present in this year's nominations. Yes. She was very happy and applauded that. And I want to now ask you, with all your quest and fight and campaigns around boycotting UFF, what do you think of this young generation or the new entrants, all the new faces that are being given platform in the UFF? And that has been, it's vividly seen in this year's nominations. So for you want people to boycott. Platform. I will ask that, Mr. Producer, I want you to give me Nana Kaga, speaking more about that.
First thing I want to say personally from my perspective, it's so empowering to hear new blood in these nominations. I think Magola is the only veteran. And I say that with the utmost respect because honestly for me, yes, there's capability, but unless you give the new people in the industry a chance to showcase themselves and reward them for what they but honestly, this time around, it would be so fantastic, like I said, to see these young kids that have literally laid that have laid down, I wouldn't say laid down their dreams, but in trying times. Honestly, when we're doing film, yes, the struggle was there, but they've undergone so much, COVID, disappointment, all of that, and still managed to come up with some really fantastic work that we've watched. Anyway, first thing
that's Nana Kaga for you to probably first kick it off. She's a director of the Producers Guild, and you were telling me which one are you part of?
The Palwood Producers Guild.
Okay.
So I'm part of the Palwood Producers Guild, and our trademark is Palwood. But for starters, one, I would want to appreciate Nana Kaga and the team for coming up with a guild, for waking up to the reality. Our sector cannot go on if we are working as individuals. It has been our humble appeal. We often asked these gentlemen to join Palwood, and they say they don't want to join Palwood. But and actually, I remember the president of Palwood in our annual general meeting, it was 2022, she made this remark, it's on record, that whoever doesn't want to form Palwood, form yourselves an organization, and probably have an opportunity to work as organizations. I believe the formation of this guild will open more doors. They'll actually get to realize that as a guild, they have nowhere to sell content of their members. So for starters, I'd want to appreciate our colleagues that are forming up a guild. Welcome on board. This is the way to go. We have to be an organized entity. And then Nana Kaga mentions about the young filmmakers. I don't know who she calls the young filmmakers.
The new faces. The new faces.
No. You see, because you do not know, actually she called Magola one of the legendaries.
Yes.
But if I'm not mistaken, Nana Kaga might be deeply rooted in the industry longer than Magola. So,
I get you.
Omanyi tuyina kitugamba omutoja amanyi enkuba yetonya bambi babadde balina nabo saakozi zaabwe bakola ki batambulira. Bw'oba oli awo Nana Kaga doesn't know that probably there has been the film sector. With so many times we've met filmmakers, nogende ye Masaka ne bakugamba, nosanga ekibiina ne bakugamba, we want to make a film industry in Uganda. We want to show this government and the Ugandans that we are going to start a film industry. You see that kind of excitement. So because they don't know, they are close to the world, they think they're doing the thing for the first time. So ideally, these are not new faces, and it is absurd that she's calling them new faces. I think she needs to appreciate that these are very prominent filmmakers and probably guys that can do content that could also speak to her. And I think she needs to explore an opportunity of working with these guys because trust me, they would help her. Also, probably, these are different markets altogether. And I can definitely tell you, some of the faces I know she's talking about as new faces, they are the market faces of Uganda's film industry. And Nana Kaga might be nowhere. And I think Nana Kaga is a brand of herself. And probably if we do these synergies, they might take us very far. And then something about that is key about Nana's submission. I would want us to appreciate where the likes of Nana Kaga and group are coming from. And I would want us to support them. The problem, we won't be in position to support them if they are not as open as they need to be. I would want to advise them not to fall short of the glory of the evil money. When we form these organizations to target government money, government yetuyambe, instead of the sustainable markets, I think we may get lost in there. We have seen some of the organizations that have got this money and the leaders have benefited. So it wouldn't be a good thing. I would pray that, the ED talked about Matayo, advising them about the content development facility. That is not the problem. If we rectify the market and filmmakers are able to earn from their products, they are going to buy themselves equipment. Let me tell you, selling a film from northern Uganda in Uganda might be easier because people would be exploring new faces, something new. The problem is the market is so suffocated. The market is so poor. I would advise them to prioritize the market. Look at avenues and probably do not let anybody lie to you that there is a foreign market. Your primary market as filmmakers is Uganda. That is my humble opinion.
I love it when you speak more to the angle of solutions. I love that you highlighted and applauded.
Did I give some?
Yeah, you offered some. And, when you talked about the issue of the guilds,
yes,
and it's what UCC also came up saying that they were actually very pivotal in encouraging filmmakers to unite themselves amongst guilds. But another issue is coming up. Nana Kaga actually also highlighted it. There is again fights within these guilds. And if you see, Nana Kaga's claim is that there is word that Producers Guild wants to replace other guilds, and to be particular the Actors Guilds. Is there a rift? I want to pick from you. Is there a rift between the Actors Guild and the Producers Guild? And because she highlights that, hey guys, the Producers Guild is not here to take over the Actors. The Producers Guild is not here to take over the Actors Guild. So guys, come, we just need to put our synergies together. We are all fighting for a common goal. So Mr. Producer, just give me Nana Kaga highlighting, speaking around the rift within the guilds, particularly the Producers and Actors Guilds.
The Producer Guild is not there to replace anyone. Please do not assume that. We would love for everyone to come under one umbrella, but we're not there to replace anyone. We've seen gaps that have failed to have been accomplished by certain guilds, and we have found that we have the capability to plug those gaps, because honestly, like you said, there's a million. But unless we, you take the bull by the horns, and some of you that have loudest voices make the loudest noise, everyone should join, because at the end of the day, the aim is one. We all want to benefit from this industry. And like I said, we attack things a different way, but when you want to achieve something, so while you see would love to be the Producers Guild. The Producers Guild will not replace the Actors Guild. It will not replace the Writers Guild. It will not replace the Directors Guild. It's only a parent guild. The Producer Guild.
That's Nana Kaga for you. Mzee Wanika, even before you go deep into that, I want you to briefly, for our viewers, for the sake of our viewers, to briefly differentiate between what the Producers Guild is, or what they do, or who they are, and what the Actors Guild is and what they do, and what one is the rift there anyway?
Okay, for starters, it's where we started, and I think this is the misguidance within UCC. You had the director for content talking about guilds and association. What I would want to advise my sister is to familiarize themselves about these things. A guild is simply an association. A guild is an organization. So there is no magic about it. Even when I form my organization of me and my wife and I call it a guild, it doesn't take over the functionality of a guild. Even when I call it an association, it doesn't consume the functionality of an association until I work in that line. So primarily, we need to understand a guild. Let us stop this fantasy of have enclosing ourselves to terms and getting a feeling, if it is a guild, it is national. No,
but
no, you see, it's about education. It's about information, Patrick. And I'm speaking this if our colleagues do not hear these basic facts. Probably they are going to get it in a wrong manner. There can't be a competition between the Actors Guild and the Producers Guild. Nobody is scared of. Actually, if there is any filmmaker who is afraid that the Producers Guild is going to take them away, then that filmmaker also needs to be helped. That probably they do not know their rights.
But Mzee Bwanika, when you say that guilds are simply associations and
Yes.
these people need to work with themselves with this information,
Yes.
because when you say now, this puts all of them at the same footing. But Nana Kaga, if I want to quote her right, she noted that the Producers Guild, where she's director, is actually a parent guild to the Actors
That is the
Guild.
information I am trying to give, Patrick. I am trying to tell you, colleagues, these guilds are equal. These organizations are equal. Stop that fantasy.
So first things first,
Yes.
the Producers Guild is not a parent guild.
It can't be a parent guild.
So you trash that down the bin.
Yes. Let us borrow a leaf from the union, the
union
unions,
setting.
The union setting. You can have the employers, Zuma, Uganda Manufacturers Association, and then these workers will go and register themselves under the NATU, COFTU. But again, irrespective of you being the employer of this particular group of people, your organization as employers is not a parent organization of the organizations of the employees. So let us borrow a leaf from these realities. So for starters, if you're a filmmaker out there and you're afraid that the Producers Guild of Uganda is going to probably take you out, please, you need to wake up and understand that they can't take you away. Each organization has its values. Even when you call your organization Uganda National all presidentially certified organization, and you still do things of an LOC one setting, you can't become national. You see, these are just names. The functions of your organizations will define the impact you're going to create on your community. So Nana is right, but I would request that let them have an understanding of the organization they are forming. If the organization doesn't speak to the values of the people will join out of excitement, but they will leave out of excitement still.
All right, that's Mzee Bwanika for you, Executive Secretary for Pearlwood, and is our guest today as we digest and make sense of the UFF nomination night. Now, for you watching us online, I want to thank you so much once again, and to get back to some of the feedback that you're giving us live, Mr. Deo Semanda says that let's not praise desperation to support. Some who are submitting are desperate for market and think that if they submit, they can get something, yet even that something at times is staged. Thank you so much, Deo, for tuning in. Now, Drizzle King, the voice mutant, says that, but is it true that us Ugandans are allergic to good things, like it has been stated? That is for you probably, Mzee Bwanika. He's wondering whether some of us Ugandans are actually indeed allergic to good things. Is there a person, he further questions, is there a person who can be allergic to good things?
And
I think This is
Those
the
that
question.
were in the meeting clapped. You know, the India was telling them, Ugandans are allergic to good things. And those in the meeting clapped.
Shami Wings says that Muzeyi Bwanika host agenda kulekera show kuba kati tokyasoboka. Anyabo Shami wefuge wano nze afuga Muzeyi Bwanika nze namukyaziza wadde ntulidde mu muganda wange ate tebajja kumpamba nga buyinza babunkwasizza ate bampambe buwambi. Sam Anadeo comes back in part 2 and says, to my brother King, yes, there are people allergic to good things like the UCC officers. When we cry about pirated content in our market, they call it bad energy. Semialo Ibrahim no agamba olulimi oluvuma nedda. I think wano wabadde yaso omuliro muyitirivu Muzeyi Bwanika. I have Bugawood Films Uganda. Batwe Bazaar, thanks for the show. Thank you Bugawood Films people for watching. Shami Wings agamba kitalo nnyo otoba tufiiriddwa ki. Well, I will end with I am Dev Mook. Now this one says UCC commissioned projects aren't allowed to participate in the UFF. And that is why the likes of Anhad, Karamoja are never heard of in UFF. The same applies to Richer Hand Uganda funded projects. They don't go into the Icon Awards.
You create a category
yes.
of the funded projects. Yes, you just create that category. And yes.
All right. Thank you so much, our online audience, for catching us and watching. This is once again the Film Agenda 256. And as we get towards the end of this particular show, still about Nana Kagga. Muzeyi Bwanika, yes. I want to pick your mind around the talk of uptown, local, downtown, and because Nana Kagga highlights and talks about it, she was very evident amongst the people that were, talked from the attendees of the night. Yeah. And she was like, guys, that narrative is not even there. We are all here for the common goal. And someone also highlighted, I think it was Philip Luswata in his submission, that it actually, these particular markets that some people are categorized as local or downtown, this year we saw the people categorized those stereotyped as downtown, do something that is urban, and the vice versa was also true. Mr. Producer, give us Nana Kagga speaking to that, then I can get your mind, Mr. Bwanika.
I had the pleasure of talking to someone from Pearlwood. And as different as people say uptown, downtown, I don't think our struggles are different. Please stop with that mentality. The thing is, we need to sit down and if the PGU morphs into something else, we can always rename it. But all of us are involved. Yes? Does that answer your question? I had the
Thank you so much. Muzeyi Bwanika. And is there such a thing as
yes,
uptown
and that's
downtown?
The difference now between Nana Kagga and Luswata. Nana Kagga akyali mwensa. Luswata yakugambye, now, you see, when we are leaders, let us be very careful of these stereotypes. Now, if Mr. Luswata still believes that there is a thing like uptown, downtown, it is a problem. Now, when you hear Nana Kagga, she's still she's still an artist. That when she encountered this one-on-one with one of the filmmakers, she actually got to realization that we have the same problems. And the filmmakers, the filmmaker she encountered, what are their values? They are telling UCC, we need a market. What Nana Kagga isn't speaking, because she is in the shelters of UCC, probably she's still afraid because the wolves around her do not allow her to speak truth to power. That, my dear UCC, let us have the film market. Because she's telling you, the problems are the same. The problems they have witnessed on the other hand.
As downtown people.
I don't know if it's the nanas that are downtown and uptown, because it is something I don't know.
It's a stereotype.
It's a stereotype. And I think they will wake up to the reality. Because if you call us downtown and we were the first to realize the market. We formed the guilds, and you're forming them today. It defies the meaning of downtown. If you call us uptown and you say, let us do away with these differences. And I think Nana's call is something that we need to buy into. That's why we are even willing to help whichever organization is coming up. Of recent, I hear Nawiso went ahead and they registered with the Uganda Federation of Movie Industry.
UFF.
It has been years. We've asked these people, you come, let us put things in order within our collecting society. They couldn't see that. When they come, let us not choose them.
So
let us welcome them. And I even want to use this platform to call upon them. We know organizations go through a lot of challenges. Guys, do not go through the mistakes that we did. Let us start engaging. Let us sit together. You learn on how we are doing things. Trust me, we will go fast. Something that will take us 5 years will probably take us 2 months. If we would work together, synergize, and respect each other.
All right, Mzee Wanika, we are running out of time, and once again, I want to thank you for choosing to join us tonight.
Thank you.
Now, today, we've generally been discussing what transpired and went down at the UFF nominations night. And fast forward to the end, of course, there is a lot that we can discuss from the night, but fast forward to the end. Of course, director Julianne made closing remarks, and the host of the night had to, because we've tried to check and balance and pass through the entire key highlights from the night. Now, the host, our good friend Kasule Douglas, closed and appreciated, actually applauded director Julianne of UCC, noting that, she's very technical and approached all the questions very well. And she clarified most of the issues that were raised to the dot, to their satisfaction. And Mr. Producer, I'll ask before you give that to us, Mzee Wanika.
Yes.
What is your take on director Julianne in general, because she's the director content and she directly works within this line of the film that the film industry that we are talking about?
Before before
the producer gives us,
I happen to have known Madam Julianne some time ago.
Okay.
I think that is when, before she was manipulated, she was very passionate about our sector. And I still believe, usually that good person is always inside of us. The bad person may go past the good person, but trust me, that good person is always inside of us. That that humility within us.
Yes.
I still believe Madam Julianne has a heart for the sector. She's only misguided. And this would be my humble appeal to Madam Julianne. Don't be told that these guys are bad. We can be bad because we are not perfect. We are human. We are human. We can even be much more worse. Do not ever fight people you're meant to serve. It is the worst thing. Every one of us, God gives us a purpose in life.
What you say she's fighting,
yes,
we've watched her here.
I am telling you, I am
offer solutions and answers.
You have seen,
she's not fighting.
No, you have seen the people that were invited for the nomination night. You have heard the ED, Mr. Nyombi, saying we were shunned. Madame Julianne blocked me on WhatsApp. We were talking. I didn't abuse her. I was only telling her what the law says.
In the powers vested into me, I want you to use this opportunity to probably send her a call to kindly ask her probably.
This is my humble appeal to Madame Julianne. Do not create a wall between yourself, as long as you're still serving the sector. Do not put a wall, do not bless a wall between you and the filmmakers. Okay, you might hate the likes of Bwanikas. Don't hate the ideas. Don't hate the good things that come out of them. We have worked with UCC all the years UCC has been around. Not because we believed in UCC, but because we wanted to create room for dialogue. We wanted to create room to show you what is good for us, not to push you. That's why every time you called on us, we used to come. Do not pay back the other way around. We are acting like this because you are showing you are not ready to listen. And trust me, the more you go that direction, probably the more we will go also the direction we are taking. Let us bridge this gap.
Mzee Wanika, maybe if you may, would you want to pass on a request so that she unblocks you on WhatsApp? On a lighter
No.
note.
You know, I wouldn't want. I don't want to push her to do something. I would expect Madame Julian, Mr. Nyombi, to do the right thing. To be ready. Because having a market for Uganda's film industry, you don't do it for Wanika. You don't. You do it for
I ask you to
everyone.
keep it at that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we close it off, I want Mr. Producer to give me the closing remarks from the other side of the nominations night before we can also call it an end right here. Mr. Producer.
Thank you very much.
Can we admit that Julian at Sobola? Can we admit? You're too eager, right? You're too somewhere. Her answers and responses are very tactical, intentional, and they delete. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think you have that office. Yes, you deserve that office.
Madame Julian baba awulira byetwogera.
She's very tactical. Kasule mentioned that.
Madame Julian, people that speak like Douglas Bender bakuwabya. They are misleading you. These are people that Pastor Bugembe sang about. Batekawo eddaala bakuwanika ne bamala ne bajjawo ki eddaala. So be very keen of such kind of praises. Let me tell you, if you had gotten to understand us the way Douglas is saying, trust me, by now we wouldn't be having these bridges.
Sigenda kukkiriza kujjawo ddala neme kumaliriza show. No, ladies and gentlemen, I want to appreciate each and every one of you that caught up the show tonight, and I want to thank you again, Mr. Bwanika, Mzee Bwanika, for accepting to come and be the gentleman that we could digest this particular topic tonight. Now, Film Agenda 256 happens every Wednesday, 8 p.m. And today, my name is Patrick Sentong, and I was sitting in for my brother, Godfrey Musingu, who will be returning yet again next week. Mzee Bwanika, before we close the show, do you have any closing remarks for our viewers?
To our viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. Ebirowoozo bye muwulira bannange tebijja mu bubi nti oba twagala mpala n'oba tulina personal vendetta. We are hoping to have the best for our sector. So tusaba gwe wenna ng'olina ekirowoozo ekisobola okutwala sector eno mu maaso. Probably kireete tulabe nti tukulaakulanira wamu. But to our fellow filmmakers, we will not stop at anything as long as some of us are still leaders to advocate for the right things to be done.
All right.
This sector deserves a formidable film market. I have seen, Patrick, I need to mention this. I have seen struggling filmmakers. We are struggling. I have seen, if you happen to visit the set of these filmmakers, to see the passion with which they do films, trust me, you wouldn't stop at anything but to wish them the very best. And the best thing that we deserve as Ugandan creatives is a total and an immediate ban to all illegal film broadcasts. Thank you very much. Big up. I love you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mzee Bwanika, for coming through. I hope you can always be a regular on this particular program. Ladies and gentlemen, I beg that we keep it here today, and for the people that have been watching us online, thank you very much. And now, to also remind you, this particular conversation will be up on the Living Arts UG YouTube channel, and you can keep the conversation going. You can like, share, and comment. We shall be getting that feedback. And of course, next week, Mr. Musingu, when he returns, will be trying to bring you to speed with what would have happened, and the recap that most of you people would have not caught up with. Until next Wednesday, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Amanya n'eddoboozi nze Ntongo Flon.
Christine Sandy.
Mwanje Steven Kabarana.
Serunya Anes Kaddu.
Eno program bagiyita Film Agenda 256.
Enganze nnyo.
Sawa 2 buli lwakusatu.
Wano teri kuvaawo, beera wano.
Nange kwendi.